Thank you for tuning in to Purposely Planned Cafe with me and my BFF, Anastasia Preston.
Hey sis,
Hey, sis. And
what's up?
today we're leading off with our conversation, talking about becoming. Still talking about the beautiful Michelle Obama and
Mhm.
how she became the woman that we all love. I think we left out when on chapter one. So we now she's four, and her Aunt Ruby and just different things. So we're starting in on chapter two. And I want to ask you first, just about, what did you feel about Craig?
So far, what I know about him is so awesome. I wish I had a big
Oh,
brother.
a
And then I
big brother
also,
like Craig. I want a big brother like Craig.
yes, and then I wonder, how things would be if, Ava was the youngest instead of the oldest.
Oh,
'Cause I have an older girl and then a younger boy. So, like, I wonder how that dynamic would have went. So, her brother, oh my goodness, when she had first described the picture of the family and she's a little baby and her brother, proudly looking at her, holding her little pen, it just seemed like he just had a great influence for her from the very beginning. So even with the recital, how she was nervous and he fell asleep in the car on the way. Or how at first, she was saying, well, how do you know those guys in the hood? And he's just like, I don't know. They know me.
everybody knew him.
Yeah, they have a two different views on the same perspective, and I really like how she shared, how she observed his view on things, and then how she shared her own view.
Right.
Especially when they went into the neighborhood. Oh, he was so awesomely glamour. He was glamorizing this new neighborhood out in the suburbs. But she, as a younger sister, she didn't know why she had this unsettling feeling, and I still want to know more about that unsettling feeling. Well, what was that?
Say it again. So you kind of went out again. You said the feeling. Can you hear me?
You clicked in and out.
I was telling you did too. I couldn't hear you about the feeling. Can you repeat that?
Right, how her brother was glamorizing the neighborhood, and she's looking at
Oh,
him like she was kind of weirded out because when they were leaving the neighborhood as a family, she didn't have those same feelings that her brother felt. She had a weird and different,
mm,
unsettling and kind of disappointed, feeling, and she couldn't wait to get back home. So I wanted to know a little bit more about that.
I think it's funny how we can have those. And that says a lot about us, just in general as people. We can live in the same place and be in the same household, be in the same name set, and be in the same blood family, and still have two different perspectives of something, of one specific thing, talking about the neighborhood. Because he is a little older than her. He has seen how the neighborhood probably progressed. She's only seeing in increments of how, okay, this is how this is right now. I feel unsettled and uncomfortable because I'm seeing this for just this perspective, where Craig has probably seen something. Sorry, the airplanes are flying over right now. But Greg is probably seeing see how things have progressed into where they are right now, and even bringing up our current situation. I can't, just let us not talk about what's going on, as far as the current situation of what's going on around behind the riots right now, and just everything that stems behind that. But we have people that are doing things because of because obviously this is a tragedy right now, and then we have people that see, that this could be something that, unfortunately, the unfortunate event leads into a progressive thing for us as people of color. But even that is just how you view things, because even right now, you can be in the same household. You can have the same, people. You can be, your sister, or your brother, but you may not look at that as that. You may have a totally different narrative or perspective of of that of one incident.
Yeah, I can, as an older sister in my household, things look totally different to me than my little sisters. So, like, I'm 5 years older, 7 years older, and 3 years older than my sisters, and they certainly didn't see things from where I seen things. And that's very, very interesting in how we were under the same roof, but just grew up differently.
Right. And I mean, it goes back to like I always like to say, is who is Michelle Robinson? And even now, I hope I'm pronouncing the middle name right, but Michelle Lavon Robinson,
Yeah.
the Lavon named after her grandmother, the sweet, soft-spoken woman. But you think about just how she speaks even now. She is still, her voice has a determination behind it. We were just talking about the voice of a teacher. It has a strong, powerful something behind it. But Michelle does have a sweet voice after her grandmother. But it's something about a strong woman's voice that she's able to carry something and have a message behind it. And just
Yeah.
what is your, I always go back to what is your purpose? What are you doing? And I think from a young age that she has always known that she had that strong voice. But it's because she knows her foundation. She knew who she was named after. She knew her family. She knows the connection of her mom and dad. I think so many of us, don't know or don't understand our purpose because we don't have the connection. We don't know what our mom and dad was, or what were they fighting for? What are their purpose? And you have to go back and think about that sometimes. Even now, I like talking to my mom. I'm blessed to be able to have those conversations because my mom is a cancer survivor. I could have easily lost her, and my dad as well. He is also a survivor of heart disease. He actually flatlined on the tape, but I have those two people in my life that I can go back for and have that wisdom poured into me. Whereas it's so many young people, youth, and different things of that nature that don't have that ability to be able to have a conversation with their mother or father, to be able to say, okay, these are your purposes, these are the things that you look forward to now. But it's unfortunate when you don't have those people to draw on. But thinking about Michelle, she had those people to draw on. She constantly is, able to argue with anybody. Anytime you can be 4 or 5 years old and you can argue back and forth with your aunt, first of all, that talks to me to your intelligence, and it speaks to me that your whole family was connected. They knew how far you could push things without getting a whipping or without being disciplined or those type of things. But it's the family dynamic and connection. And Craig was definitely, you see that as a center character here, along with her father. But yeah, I had to say that, speak to Craig, because I really like her brother. And don't beat me. You probably gonna get me because I'm gonna have to say this on a thing. I did watch Becoming on
Oh,
Netflix.
I was gonna put it together. I was saving it and
Oh, I'm gonna watch it several times, but I had to watch it then just because I'm like, okay, I didn't have anything to watch. I was like, I gotta watch something, but we're gonna watch
oh,
it again.
I
But
was saving it when I got up there.
no, we're gonna watch it again. Don't worry. If I didn't get to watch it the
Okay.
way I would want to watch it, but I want to watch it just then, just to see how different things and whatever. But because it's different, it's much different than the book. So I'm happy that we're taking it this way and then looking at Becoming too, because it's not the same as the book. It's
Well,
totally
that's good. That's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate her resonating voice, and I
yes.
do agree with what you're saying. Many of us don't know where we came from or our roots. My father died when I was 32, and I did not get enough information from him before he went. And so, like right now, I feel such a loss because there's so many questions and just so much growth that's happened, in 11 years. I'm not the same person. I'm not angry like I was at first, because I was angry at him and my mother, for the different things and, different choices that they had made. And, I've come to peace with my mom. She's still alive, but I didn't get a chance to really dig deep with my dad because he himself died of cancer. So he didn't survive his struggle.
But it's good that you're able to look at that and say, these are would have been the questions that I would have asked, because you can at least evaluate yourself with those questions and say, what, maybe this is how he would have wanted to answer these questions, or have a different narrative. But yeah, because I even have different questions now that my grandfather has passed. I still have different things that I would have wanted to ask him, just those things. But I did have a good communicative relationship with my grandfather, even though he would quickly say when I was gaining weight, "You're getting fat," just like that. "You're getting fat." But at the same time, I knew, I know now he told me those things to prepare me to, just prepare me for life. I think Granddad was always giving straight up advice because he didn't want the world to hurt me. And it took me forever to understand how much that man loved me and how much he would do anything for me. And that's something I regret not getting closer to him in that level. But before he passed, that was one thing that I was able to get with him is how much he loved me, how much how many prayers he would pray for me throughout the day and our whole entire family. Like that's one reason, I'm so big on prayer. My grandfather would, he would let me know, like, okay, at 6 o'clock I start my morning with a prayer. At this time I
Oh
start
yeah.
another time for a prayer. This is my prayer day. Right. This is how I pray. And it was every day. Like this before, I for my existence, that's how he's always prayed to my knowledge. Like he would start his day on his knees, not just a regular prayer, like old school. I'm on my knees on the bed praying.
How
Um,
old was he when he passed away?
I think he was in his 80s.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow, that's awesome.
he had a good life, good life.
Yeah.
Military vet, honorably discharged. Just Granddaddy was a good disciplinarian and good,
Yeah.
serious, joking man. You had to understand his sarcasm.
How
And
old were you?
when he passed,
Mm-hmm.
I was in my 30s because it was,
Really?
yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, it was hard, but it was at the same time
Still
it
in your
was,
30s.
because you think, oh, he's old, you should have been, but you're just never really prepared for it, to lose anybody,
Yeah.
especially somebody who has a connection to the family. Like he connected the family. You always have
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
family member that everybody kind of runs to and helps
The
and does this.
connective tissue.
And when he passed, we definitely noticed it was a lot of difference
Difference.
in our family. Like for a minute, we didn't feel as close as we always were. So, but even with, I don't want to get out too far away from the book, but just talking about Michelle and her father, as well, and just how that connective, like you said, the connective tissue is so important to have in the family dynamic. You always have that one individual that is so important to any family that unfortunately, anytime that their presence is not there, that it can be unraveled. But thank God we are a praying family, and we were able to pull those pieces back together. I've seen so many families who lose that peace and lose their family dynamic, like they go totally left, and families are arguing and they're hating each other, and that's something that of the enemy. He loves that confusion when you have a good family and you all of a sudden lose that because someone could not come back to their own self. So I don't
I,
want to get far away
I
from
was gonna I appreciate how she shows, her love for her father by saying how he was handsome, down to the specifics of his mustache and,
right.
the rippling, muscles in his arms. But, she did also show with the strength in contrast was, the disease, and how he had to supplement it with a cane. And then the cane turned into one crutch and then it turned into two crutches, but he still remained strong.
And, right. And I love how she said that because even when she spoke about that, I started thinking about my dad when he went through, as far as his heart attack and different things of that nature. I never once thought about my dad as not being strong. Like even though I used to see him, it was so strange because my dad was in good shape. He loved to work out, and he would always go around without his shirt on. I thought about her dad. But after his heart attack, my dad does have the zip line that goes all the way down to belly button because that's how they go in and get that. So it was it was that made me realize, okay, he's gone through something, but he's still strong. Even though after several, it took several years for my dad even to bounce back from where he was. It's such a traumatic thing for someone to go into your heart. You think about any other part of the body that somebody might be able to go into and be fine. They can go, diabetics. I've seen people chop off a foot and come right back and doing good and blah blah blah. But when someone goes into your heart, and you can think about this literally or metaphorically, when someone goes into your heart, it's always going to be something traumatic. Like you can't just bounce back from that. It's always going to be something that you have to look at with intent. Like, okay, she went into my heart. I have to figure out how to repair. He went into my heart. I have to figure out how to ways to repair myself from the inside out. And you can only do those things with a higher power, God, and just that kind of mental thing. But anyway, I think I'm getting off my rambling. Just thinking about Michelle and talking about her dad brought up a lot of different things. Thinking about my own father's strength in those ways and capacities. But
Yeah, I like the point you made about with that sort of heart repair healing from the inside out. I'm not even sure if people that have, heart issues and surgeries even think about life that way. And wow, just, if they do, that would, it's an amazing way, of recovery, from the inside out.
right, because I mean, when you go and you think about any kind of major thing that hurts your heart. I mean, whether it's a relationship, whether it's church hurt. Oof, it's not church hurt, but sorority hurt, friendship hurt, any kind of hurt that messes with your heart, it does take repairing from the inside out, and it's not just from your physical heart, but into your mind. Like those are things that are always connected. I always talk about the battlefield of the armor of God that you have to put on. The two strongest things that you have to put on are something to protect your head and your armor for your heart. Because if you don't, those are the two areas that the enemy attacks. Those are two areas that you're gone in. So those are the two areas that he wants you in is your mind and your heart. Once he has you in those areas, here he is. So, I always think about things in that spiritual light as well. But just thinking about Michelle and just this name, first of all, Michelle Yvonne Robinson Yvonne. And just thinking about her, I can just imagine her going in this book. I can see her going from that little 4-year-old girl playing with those dolls and going into this teenage stage of life with her brother, and just that overall, you can kind of see sense her coming becoming that woman that we kind of can see her even now. And it's just funny those different things that are building her up to be just to be the
Well,
woman that we know. Right.
her parents, the fact that they gave her and her brother a foundation, everything was a talk, everything was a discussion. And even with,
Right.
being able to go back and tell mom about the, back and forth with the Aunt Robbie and the piano, they were almost like, patting them on the back for, going through their training and doing well and coming out successful. Moving forward with, her Barbies and all the successes and all the dramas, that reminded me of how I was with my Barbies. And I was playing
Mhm.
Barbies until like 12. So I heavily, my Skipper dog, when it got bitten by the family dog, oh, it was a dramatic, situation in my household, when the dog got a hold of my little Skipper dog. But even when she said, and sometimes the dogs had sex, that was so interesting because when that went into her parents, her father saying,
Mom,
it is,
Mom, did you
it
say
is no,
dogs have sex?
no, hush, get out of my business. She said, well, my dad said, he told us, it's a fun thing and it's supposed to be fun. So people who, may have gone through molestations or, tragedies around that subject, that's a whole different viewpoint. Like, wow, it's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be
Right.
interesting and joyful. And I appreciate that viewpoint being made. And it, gives people, a foundation, especially if they didn't have one or a different understanding on that. And it was just appreciated.
Yeah. And just thinking about that, just the dolls and just those different things. Of I for me, I didn't even pick. I had a doll. I had my mom got me the white dolls first, and I wasn't interested in the white dolls. And when she found the black dolls, I think I kept them for a good amount of time, like you said, until something happened to them that, you know. But it does make you have the impact of, okay, you want a doll as a good little girl. I'm sorry, I have to go there. As a little girl who looks like you, you're not really understanding of what that means. And even thinking about how that was for me now, I wanted a little black doll who looked like me. but um but just the significance of that, just you want something to represent you even at that young age. And I don't want to get too far off the book. I can go into different realms. My ADD is kicking in, so I'm trying to be good. But I'm going into. Should we go into chapter 4 or 5? Which one? Are we ready to go into 5?
I think I can't go much further.
Okay. So I don't want to go too far into 5. Were you ready to go into 5? Did you finish 5?
Talk about the neighborhood, the experience of
Okay.
Michelle's mother's best friend family. They're highly, high skin, highlighted, however you say it, light skinned family moving into the white neighborhood. That is it downgraded now because blacks are into the neighborhood,
Okay.
or at some point before there was a quota on how many black families could be in the neighborhood, and now they've made it, but they're so high, bright yellow. Are they seen as white? And the fact that when the Robinson family was invited out there, now when Dad gets in the car, he notices a scratch on the car. Well, when did that happen? And why did it happen? I can't come and visit my friend without being assaulted.
But yeah, I agree. I mean, that was yeah. But I like how he handled it.
Yeah,
Like I did.
like he handled everything else. He handled it so smoothly.
But that shows that character. That shows his character.
Yeah,
He could have gone off. He could have been this or that, but it shows how he was. And I think a lot of Michelle's character, and I just think about all the little small things, all the things that seem so small and irrelevant are a different perspective they all play into who she is now. Because just watching her dad and how he had to face different, different targets. Think about what things that her and Barack had to experience and how she would have to carry herself. That is not a learned behavior. You can't learn to be a first lady in the position. You have to already know how to, prepare yourself to be in that position and then carry out and be stronger as you're in the position. Unfortunately, we have a first lady now, in my opinion, who is learning how to be a first lady. Even though she's not there presently, behind him, which I don't blame her because you can't get behind someone who doesn't lead well. But that's my opinion. I apologize for making my opinion. But it's hard to be a first lady or a wife even behind a person that is not leading the family or leading well. So you do have to understand how to be that woman, be the wife first, be that person for yourself. I always say how to show up for yourself first, and then later God is going to put you into roles into which you have to play and play, not just play out and play, but actually live out. But
yeah.
that's
I appreciate the lessons, that were presented to her,
mhm.
especially the when she decided to go out into the neighborhood with her brother, and every time she went out, Dee had some little, remarks and rolling of the eyes, and at such a young age, Michelle said, "Well, I had about four choices." And the choice she chose was a very interesting, but here's another lesson, to gain I gained my respect. We may not have been friends, but she chose, to gain the respect.
And that shows, even that goes back to her. I love this when she always says, "When they go low, you go high."
Yeah.
And when
The
she
quote I
said,
was looking for last week: when
"I found
they
it."
go low,
I
you
think
go high. Hey,
But if you don't and they go low and people will try to take you low. They always want to pull you down to their level. But the important thing, is as low as they go, you go high. And every time they try to knock you down, you still go high. You stand. Even that's why I was gonna bring up the comment because when she talked about that in today's current events. She had to talk about it with the current events, and it was just kind of like when they go high, and one of the person, I'm not going to ruin it or anything, but just her speaking about the perspective of that now it's harder. She said it can't. She said I still believe in those words 100%, but it's harder now. So it can be done, even if I love the fact that she's always authentic with what she says, but just the fact that she said it's harder for someone
I
who
love
does that. Because it's true. I'm not going to say
it.
it's going to be easy. Oh yeah, you should have rose. No, it's hard when someone, especially a woman or someone, anyone tries to demoralize your character or put you down. It's hard
Oh,
to
yeah.
rise, but it's not impossible to rise.
There was a period in time, and I think when I had left Confluence and went to another school, and was very successful, but I didn't have successful backup. And her quote was made apparent. I seen it in a magazine. You know how I'm always clipping and doing scrapbooking and all that. I put that quote on the back of my door so quick, for people to see. This is where I stand. When you go low, I'm going high, and that's all the statement I needed.
And that's, I mean, as a teacher, that's, if I knew, you know, the dynamic and then, just when I was teaching and when I was with kids, I would have had them say that quote. I did a lot of Martin Luther King quotes, a lot of Malcolm X quotes that I made my students say. But if I knew just, you know, that quote at that time, I would have made that my classroom motto. They would have had to
Yes,
say that coming in every day because that's
yes,
what you think about. Every day that something's going to happen to you. Every day you're going to have a
yeah,
challenge every day that you can either make the choice to rise higher or you can take some let someone take you lower. And I always go back to the Martin Luther King quote: "You can't, a man can't ride your back unless it's bent." That means that no one is grabbing to get on you unless you bend down and stoop down far enough for them to get on. It has to be an action that you're taking for you allowing someone to pull you to that level. But that's my biggest thing was that I love raising just the ability to make your mind set to go into a higher level.
yeah, yeah. Love one of my favorite
Oh,
quotes. Also, to bring a little Maya Angelou, when you know better, do better.
that's my girl. That is my girl. And when you know better, you have to do better. I think I was talking to my mom the other day about just that, just as far as being a teacher, God holds teachers accountable much more when you know things. The people that are wise, he doesn't, attack the one, God doesn't really get on the ignorant, but the foolish and the people who don't take the wisdom, God does get to those people first because if you know better, like you said, if you know better, God is expecting you to do better. And when you don't,
Yeah,
yeah, you definitely gonna feel his wrath. And I've been in that position to feel that. I'm not just saying that because it sounds cute. I've been in that
yeah.
whole predicament.
Sounds
Oh,
cute.
well, shoot. I don't know how. No, you allowed yourself. That person, you can't blame the person. You allowed yourself to be pulled down. So you pulled you
Right.
got down. Now think about that. You think about, you're standing up and you're strong and you're standing up strong and all of a
Yep.
sudden someone says something. You actually literally think about your body kneeling down. You actually stooping down low enough to let somebody get on your back.
I've been
Like,
in that situation. It was actions, not just someone saying something, but it was their actions that took me down. And it took over for way too long. But then when you know better, you do better, and you fix a situation, and you move forward.
that's it.
Move forward. I appreciate where when she graduated from kindergarten and went on to the next couple of grades and found herself in the basement with a derelict teacher, didn't know what she was doing, and she'd come home and tell her mom, man, this is just not where it's at. And her mom listened and heard what she was saying. She wasn't just a bratty, spoiled kid complaining about class. This is a real issue. And her mom quietly took care of it and got her child into a classroom where the teacher was teaching, knew what she was doing, went back and found the teacher and told her, you don't need to be teaching. But when Michelle said, I was lucky to get out of that
Yeah.
situation,
Think about how many.
what happened to those kids who had to stay in the dark basement with this teacher who, was not a good example of a teacher?
And I've actually had a teacher like that. I had a teacher in high school that told me I would never, um, I should never take any type of business classes.
And what classes?
It wasn't me. It was how you taught me. You were not good. You were not a good teacher for me.
She
And
told you not to do what?
she told me never to take any business classes or which is,
What?
yeah. She said I was, sorry, it is a male. Told me I would never be able to finish that and those perspective of things and just basically that I should just go towards something that I use my prettiness with. Yeah,
Are you serious? That's a chauvinistic remark.
but that was high school, and I was happy to attend an HBCU where I had some really kick-ass, like I said, Asian and dynamic African teachers who were allowed to be to understand that I think differently. That's one reason I know that I probably am on the spectrum at this point because I think very differently. But I had some really good and Indian. I had one, I mean, all just diverse teachers. I mean, it was white, black, everybody. But it was for me, it was the Indian who kicked my butt in geometry and different other areas. But and I was able to come out of that HBCU college with a business degree, and it was I graduated in the higher cum laude area, and I was really, that was one of the impressive things from my in my life, that it wasn't just so much of, ooh, you came out of this with a degree. No, I challenged myself because I knew I could do it, and I knew that that man was wrong about me. Just like Michelle Obama in that statement, like she knew something wasn't right, and she went to her mom, and she went to the person who can make it right for her at that time, because she was not an adult. So I think about just those things that, right, again, when they go high you go low, sorry, when they go low you go high, excuse me, but you going higher to get what you know that you can do.
I appreciate how she expressed the position and experience of the kids who maybe a teacher may say, oh, they're bad, they're acting out. Well,
Exactly.
look at it from this position. If you're not doing your best job, they are expressing themselves the best way they can with the resources that they have. And so I appreciate that about her expressing, how to reach children that you think are challenging. You have to, like you said earlier, reach their hearts and their minds, because I've worked in urban schools my whole career and I've had some doozies, but I bet you most of them will say, Miss Preston, you was my best teacher. I have kids who are 28, 32 years old who still reach out to me and say, you were one of my best teachers, in their whole teaching career. What? Really? I'm so like humbled at that, but it goes back to what she said. Teachers have to reach the hearts and minds of kids, and you said it as well. So I appreciate that point of view.
Right. And, I want to talk about five, so I don't want to get too far into that because that's going into some of that too. Just different things with her brother and different things with Craig, and just, how he has to tackle a few things in that chapter. So I don't want to go too far.
Yep, we're at that limit. I'm not there yet.
Okay. So, well, before I go any further, did you have anything about these last chapters that you wanted to kind of to sum up, or as we get into that, I realize the time.
I think we got everything.
Think so too. I love talking to you, especially just about something fun and just being outside with the birds chirping. Just a nice
Yeah,
Sunday. I mean, this is so nice. I was gonna come out
beautiful.
here and do yoga, but this was more relaxing, just talking to you and talking about Michelle and just talking about the book.
Here's my tree. I see your tree in the background. Here's my tree
Oh,
in my
cute.
front yard.
Oh, I can't wait to come to Texas.
I know. Fun, fun, fun. Just relaxing. Earlier this, I live on a street where there's a main street. Across the street there's a like a little farm, and they were, they had their little music on and everything. I was like, wow, if they could put their music on every Sunday while I'm out here chilling, listening to my stories, that would be great. I love it.
But that's what this is all about. Just, being able to hopefully inspire someone, just to be able to, especially during this time when so much is going on, just to be able to take a little break from everything just so very serious. And I don't want to downplay anybody's emotions, but sometimes you just got to take a break for
Take a
yourself.
break.
And I'm
Break.
hoping whoever is listening to this is able just to calm down, and if you don't have a best friend, reach out to me, and reach out to Anna. I mean, just reach out to somebody that sorry, put you out there like that, but reach out to somebody that would understand, and just, find a good sister. So I'm always about finding a good sister circle, finding support.
And I
I'm always
agree.
wanting to have that for anybody who needs that, and that's the point of Purposely Playing Cafe. I started, for just a few people. Just at first, it was just for those with parents on the spectrum and caregivers, and I said, you know what, that's not going to be fair. That should be for any mom that is single, in a marriage, whatever, any mom, any woman that is going through something who needs any support. So, I never want to exclude anybody. But I do want to always go back to the original purpose was for those that spend so much time with taking care of those with kids with disabilities. But any parent needs help. All parents, we need help. We can't do that alone. So
Yeah.
if if you're in need of anything that's of support and encouragement, please feel free to reach out to us. Purposely Plan Like Cafe. We are here for. I'm here for your support. I don't want to put Anna in there like, wait a minute.
I was going to raise my hand.
I am here for your support.
I would agree. I am too. I'm an introvert, so I definitely would agree. Miss Juanita does most of the talking, but I always interject, and I have some good things to say. And it's not just women who are in this together. I actually have a Nigerian friend who we converse, through Messenger,
Mm.
and he's like the age of one of my adult students. He's 25. He lives in Nigeria, and he definitely wanted to know more about Michelle Obama's becoming. He said, "Tell me more about it."
Aw,
So I'm so excited because I shared,
yeah.
well, I'm doing my book study. I'm going to be talking about the book, and tell me more about it. So, it's not just women who want to know more. There are men too.
Yeah, I don't want to exclude anybody, but for Purposely Playing Cafe, it is just for women. So I do apologize, but you are very much and welcome to listen and embrace and love on us as women too, because women need that support of men as well. So, but yes, feel free to share this with anyone that might be in need of just a little encouragement, especially just during this time. And I don't want to keep going. I don't want to go too long because I have a wonderful, supportive husband who's watching our child right now, and he just got off work at 6:30, worked a 12-hour shift, and goes back
Yes.
tonight at 7. So I never want to take advantage of him. But I had to shout that out too because our anniversary was Friday the 5th, and just always so wonderful. But
Yeah.
yeah, I don't want to hold us too long. But I'm just so blessed to have spent this moment and this time talking with
Yay.
you on this book. I didn't get a chance to say the book. All these notes, girl. Look at all these notes.
All the notes. I was hoping to get my book in the mail sometime soon, but it got given away to Kathy.
You stop that. You stop.
I'm happy. Congratulations.
The shade of it all. The shade.
Oh, I love it. No, I love it. I'm
I'm
happy. I'm
joking. I know you joking. I know we all love Kathy. I'm hoping her butt can be on here one day too, talking about becoming. She's already reading it, so
I know she is.
she loves it. But anyway, let's go ahead and wrap up there. And again, thank you all for tuning in to Purposely Playing Cafe. I'm so blessed to spend these moments with my best friend and you. Again, tune in anytime that you have time. Thank you all. Love you, sis. And
Love
bye.
you. Bye.